buttermilk crispy chicken? Let's find out.
It's probably the best sandwich I've ever had.
It's super crispy, but it's also really juicy.
So would you guys come back?
Yeah.
Of course, definitely. Well, here's our card. The location is on the back. It's McDonald's? What? What?
Oh, get out
No way.
Wait, seriously?
Try some buttermilk crispy chicken. It's right around the corner at McDonald's. Buttermilk.
Well, good morning. This is Brad Atwell with Coach Jeff Griffith on Ask the Coach here on WCOU Sports. And coming in this morning after a loss on the road last night, 48-7 to a number one team in 5A football in the Bowling Green Purples. And Coach, you know, even though we came away with a loss, I thought we had a good effort from our boys last night.
I thought we played well in terms of effort in the first half, especially. You know, that was something that had been lacking in the Greenwood game. And, you know, I thought we played with a level of intensity that we hadn't been playing with the past couple of weeks. And, you know, and if we're going to be a good team and win out and win some games here at the end of the year, that's the way we've got to play. But, you know, I was disappointed and we gave up that touchdown there. If we'd gone in at the half 14-0 instead of 21-0, I'd have been fairly pleased with, you know, 14-0 halftime score if we could get something a little bit going on offense. And, you know, offensively I thought we moved the ball some. We just couldn't sustain anything. And that's, you know, again, of course, like I said, that's the number one ranked team in 5A and really good defensively and got great skilled kids on offense. And, you know, proud of the effort first half especially, but ultimately we were down 21-0.
Well, you have to take away some positives. You know, when you play a team as good as what Bowling Green is, I mean, they've got one loss on the year, and that came from a very good team. You have to come away encouraged with some of the things I'm sure that you saw on the defensive side of the ball. I know you've moved some guys around. You know, just I think about, you know, Grant Bowen going from that corner spot and coming up and to the safety spot, and I think when we moved Sneed up to the linebacker spot, I think we've seen a big change in kind of the way our defense is playing, and maybe some of the speed that we're able to get up there, you know, that we have.
Well, that was the main reason we did, is to try to get a little more speed on the field and a little more athleticism, and, you know, ultimately that's what the game's about. It's, you know, certainly we all got to execute on the both offensively and defensively, but if you don't have guys that can run, then it really doesn't matter what offense or defense you can run. And we felt like a couple of weeks back that gave us an opportunity to get, you know, make us a little faster defense. And, you know, I think going back last night, you know, having Jordan Hill back from injury, you know, Jordan just brings a level of intensity, you know, in himself to the game, and I thought he got after it real, you know, pretty hard last night. And of course, the main thing defensively last night, and again we're down 21-0, but we did a much better job of tackling last night. For the most part, you know, we still had our moments where we were not a good tackling team, but, you know, if you keep it in front of you with their athletes and get them down, as you know, I think I said earlier in the week, you know, if you'll tackle them, it'll be a 6-yard gain, but if you don't, it's getting ready to be a 60-yard touchdown in a hurry. And we did a fairly good job of that, you know, in the first half for the most part of you know, when they made plays or they broke something, we got it down, and it wasn't a 60-yard touchdown.
Defensively, There's not a lot you could do with a team as athletic as they are, like you said, especially if they get behind you. You know, first half they tried to run the ball quite a bit on us. Second half they came out and was trying to throw the ball some and get their kids out in some space. And when you have that happen, it's a little harder when you've got skill players the way that they do. It's a lot harder for one guy one-on-one. You know, sometimes it becomes an impossibility to tackle that guy in space.
Well, I thought the first half we did a good job of getting off the field and on third down, and that's something that we had struggled with all year. And a couple of times when on offense we get a first down or two and punt, and we punted them back deep. And, you know, and that's what you got to do to a team like Bowling Green, is make them have to drive the length of the field. And in the first half we did that. You give them a 40 or 50-yard field, they're going to score majority of the time, because that's just a short field for them to have to work with. And, you know, the 2 or 3 punts they had in the first half was because, you know, we punted them back and they had about 80 or 85 yards to go, a couple of drives. And, you know, they can put together a first down or two, but we got them off the field. and got the ball back, and that, and that's what you got to do. But when we had the turnovers, they got a short. I think if you look at most of their drives last night that they scored on, it was probably a 50-yard field or less.
Oh yeah. Well, I know they're early in the game. Of course, their first half they had not hardly 200 yards of offense, but they had 3 touchdowns, and 2 of those touchdowns came on a short field. Mm-hmm. So it's not just Bowling Green; it's anybody. You give them a 50, you give them a 50 or less. More than likely, they're going to punch it in. There was a couple times last night that I felt like had we had a short field, that we would have punched the ball in the way we were moving the football. One drive, I think there early, we drove the ball maybe, we drove it probably 50 yards down the field and had a penalty, and just it's hard to recover from a 5-yard penalty, the style of ball that we play, and if it's a 10-yard penalty, it's almost impossible.
It is, and it's the thing that we've got to do is that we haven't done a lot this year is we haven't taken advantage of those short fields when we do get them. We have a few times, but there's been several times if you look back and go through the games where we start our drives on our end of the field and we end up not getting anything out of it, and that's a recipe to lose the football game, because when you get an opportunity for a short field, you got to take advantage of it, and good teams do, and they certainly did last night, and we've struggled with that at times this year.
We talking about defensively last night. For the most part, we did a pretty good job up front with our defensive linemen. Jordan Hill. Jordan being back, like you said earlier, that helps us up front. Him on one side, Stone on the other. Brody was coming in there in the middle. Stopping up some things there. Jake came in last night, played some there for us. Defensively up front, we did not just get dominated last night, and that's a good thing when you don't just get dominated up front, because most time when you do just get dominated up front, it's going to be a lot worse. I didn't know what to expect going to Bowling Green last night. When you go into a team that was already 7-1 maybe going into last night. You just it's almost one of those things where you say, okay, guys, let's go in here and let's compete this week, knowing that some good teams have already been beat pretty bad by this team, and I was excited at 21-0 last night. And like you said earlier, I think it would have been a lot better 14-0 at half. That they were raking and scraping, and we had to, you had to went in at halftime thinking, guys, y'all have done a pretty good job here this first half.
Well, I was pleased with our effort. As I said, we showed a little bit of spunk and fire and had a little competitiveness to us. But, the most disappointing thing was that we did give up that drive there at the end of the second quarter and made it a 21-0 game. But, I think if you look at the Bowling Green team, and, this was a season where they were breaking in a lot of new linemen. All right. And, of course, last night their all-state lineman, Jordan Meredith, who's an outstanding player and a WKU commit, he was out last night, and talking with their coach and staff, he's going to be out for another 2 or 3, 4 weeks maybe. He had some type of hand injury over the break, and he's an outstanding player, and they certainly missed him last night up front. But I think that's where they're going through some growing pains themselves up there, and honestly, that's where we're kind of we got juniors and seniors up there that have played a lot of football on our defensive line, and that's why we competed and got after them a little bit. But still, they have 2 of the best running backs that you'll see anywhere in the state, and Carruthers and Yates, and those guys do a really good job. And but I thought our linebacker play, inside outside linebacker play of Cody Blakely and Ellis and Mason Perkins and Zach Sneed, those guys did they did a good job of tackling those guys for the most part. And but ultimately it's a loss, and we got to move on. But you got to hang your hat on something, and I was certainly pleased. We made improvements this week. Improvements from the Greenwood game, from the East game. Going all the way back to that game about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that's what we got to do. And of course, now we're here with the last 2 regular season games, and it's 2 games that we need to win, especially this one coming up here against Grayson County.
Sure. All right, Coach, we're going to take a break, and you come back and join us on WCLU Sports.